London, England, south of France. And all points between, they know about your man. Konnichiwa, ladies, when I'm out in Japan. I'm a Tokyo giant like Ichiro, I am.
Welcome to another edition of the Lifestyle Design Confessions podcast. We're here to help inspire you to go for it and live the lifestyle design of your dreams. Here's Rob.
Welcome to another edition of the Lifestyle Design Confessions podcast. I'm Rob Murgatroyd from GetJetSetMoney.com. And today we have Cody McKibben of Thrilling Heroics on the line. Now, Cody has packed it all up and moved from sunny Sacramento, California, to live in all kinds of remote spots around the world. And today, we're actually talking to him from Bangkok, Thailand. Cody, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, Cody, just by way of background, could you tell us kind of how you came to living in Bangkok? Just give us a background of how, where you were and how you found yourself all the way over on the other side of the world.
Well, it's probably kind of a long story. It was a number of different things that got me kind of motivated to pick up and move to Asia for a while. But I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. It's awesome for me, probably if not for having read that in 2007, I'd be doing something completely different. I'd probably still be working in a cubicle. So that was a big motivator. But I'd always been into travel and been all over the place with family and friends and on my own. And I had a small, basically web development and consulting business, and just decided to I wanted to spend a year, live abroad, somewhere as different as I could possibly find. And so I figured Southeast Asia, and spent about 1 year working from home, gearing up my business to be mobile, work remotely with clients back in the States and Europe and Canada and Australia.
I'm going to interrupt you a second, Cody, because I want to make sure we break some of this down, because I think a lot of times when somebody achieves a goal in the beginning, when they're looking forward to the goal, it becomes this, huge thing to accomplish. But then after they do it, it's kind of like, well, then I moved to Bangkok. But before you got there was a lot of stuff that you had to clear out in your head, like, am I nuts? Is this going to work out? Or am I going to be left on the street somewhere? Talk to me a little bit about some of those fears and apprehensions that you had, when you knew you wanted to do something international and you knew you wanted to live abroad, but, maybe you were fearful of it. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah. Well, before I did start living this kind of mobile lifestyle and working remotely, I guess when someone asked me what was the biggest challenge or the hardest thing to overcome, it was just a fear of uncertainty, really, before making that big, huge life change. Because actually Bangkok is the first place, well, Thailand is the first place that I lived abroad, that I planted myself for a while. And I've done a lot of travel and stayed in several different places out here in Asia and the Pacific in that time, but kind of mostly based in Bangkok, always coming back to here. But it was my first time. It's my first time in Asia ever, and it was my first time picking up and living abroad. Being abroad for more than a month. And so it's like you build it up to be this huge mountain of a challenge in your head. And the first 2 weeks, probably after I got here, it's like surprisingly I didn't have the kind of culture shock that I thought I would have, and I just really connected with a lot of people and found a lot of helpful folks that helped me get my feet on the ground. And it really did turn out to be, it's like so much easier to move abroad or to travel permanently than maybe you make it out to be in your head before you just do it.
So what'd you do with all your stuff?
I sold all the stuff that I didn't need, the elimination thing. Sold a bunch of stuff on Craigslist, and moved out of I was living with a buddy, so moved out of his place and sold my car, and so pretty much all my belongings except for my laptop and my iPhone and
Yeah.
like one REI bag, right, filled with
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm not ready to get rid of my iPhone either. I feel you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, those two things, they're still my two main possessions. I mean, because that's our business. So,
Hmm.
but yeah. So I mean, I just sold everything, and that was a big change. But I'm actually in the process of again getting rid of all my stuff right now, getting it down to one or two bags because tomorrow I moved down south. I'm finally leaving Bangkok.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute. But when you touch on the iPhone, how difficult is it for you from a technological perspective being in Bangkok? In other words, I think a lot of people feel that there are certain creature comforts in the States that we take for granted, and they're fearful that if they go there, living somewhere abroad like Bangkok, that they won't be available. In other words, Wi-Fi and good access, on a 3G network or a 4G network or something like that. Talk to me a little bit about living your mobile lifestyle there from a technological standpoint. Is that an issue for you? Do you ever find like I just can't get a damn Wi-Fi? Is that a problem, or is that really not a problem at all?
There are definitely days when just kind of everything technologically goes wrong and you're just kicking yourself. But I would say, like the reason I've based myself mostly here in Bangkok is for business reasons. It's because, obviously it's the biggest city in Thailand. It's not the beach, and that's, where I want to be. So that's where I'm moving. But it's the infrastructure here is really good. It's slower than California, because pretty much everywhere in the world is slower than California.
Hmm.
But it's pretty reliable. It's actually probably surprisingly reliable for anyone who hasn't traveled to Asia before, and it's like that across most of Asia. As long as you're in the city, like you'll find, like I pay extra for my own dedicated DSL line, for example, and it's not very expensive. It's like $35, and I've got like the fastest connection in Bangkok. So there's that, or there's internet cafes everywhere. A lot of the restaurants and pubs have free Wi-Fi. And as far as like the iPhone, there's places you could go. Obviously, the more remote, the more difficult, but anywhere in the city, and especially Bangkok, you can walk into one of the IT malls here, get your phone unlocked, whatever it is, and they'll get you on the 3G or Edge network. And then I'm sure there's places where it's more difficult than this, but I actually love it because it's like back home you go to AT&T, which I hate AT&T, by the way. But
It's everybody does, yeah.
yeah, I mean it is nice and convenient because they give you the package deal and it's fairly reliable, right?
Hmm.
But you pay a big premium for that in the States or in the UK, And out here, seriously, I can walk into 7-Eleven, and in Bangkok there's a 7-Eleven like
It's everywhere. I know.
like
There's one on the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 6 of them on my street. So,
It's cool.
but you walk into 7-Eleven and you just buy a top up, and so it's like pay as you go iPhone for the works, including the data network, and I mean my cell phone bill out here, including internet and email, is less than probably less than $60. So it's pretty like they're pretty technically savvy out here. They can do stuff that I can't figure out, and that's pretty good. So
when you wound up finding yourself in Bangkok, when you went to Bangkok, had you ever been there before?
No, yeah, it was my very first time in Bangkok. It's my first time in Asia. My first stop was briefly in Beijing, and then a couple days in Hong Kong. But yeah, Bangkok was like my first long stay.
Did you do it completely alone, or did you do it with a girl or a couple of guy friends? Or
I traveled out here alone, and so yeah, for like a week, I traveled on my own. I flew out of San Francisco, right out of SFO, and like I said, I kind of traveled to a couple spots, and then spent 4 days in Phuket, which is everyone knows Phuket. That's probably the biggest tourist destination in Thailand, but it shouldn't be, because it's way over. But
they got hit by the tsunami.
Yeah, they did in 2004. Yeah, it's actually recovered really, really well because so much money there from all the tourist stuff. But I mean, we can get into that later if you want. But there's, I didn't know yet where the really, really good spots were. But I spent 4 days on the beach.